My name is Ronald Heu, and I'm a musician, composer, and at the moment we're in my little studio here in Malmö, where I create my music. And the last, I think it's five or 6 years, I've mainly been creating music for films. I started out in a different world. I started out growing up playing in various punk bands, experimental stuff and kind of alternative stuff. And then I turned to classical when I did like my A-levels. So I did classical for many years, but then the film music came in. It was a way for me to combine the classical world with a sort of DIY feel of the punk feeling. So it's for me it was finding a home. And it's a freedom for me being able to do this kind of music, and even though it's not punk in any way, I still have the same feeling that I'm creating this. I can experiment and be free in that kind of experimentation. I ended up being in contact with Dina Naser, who did Tiny Souls, and we decided to collaborate, and this was through MAF, the Malmö Arab Film Festival. And I thought, yeah, well, it will be maybe a couple of months' work. Little did I know that it would take, I think, over 2 years, because this was her first feature-length documentary, and it was my first project that I did completely on my own, and my first feature-length film. So it was such a long process, but for me it was like a really nice school, because we could collaborate, we were in the same place, sort of, me and Dina, so there was a lot of exploring going on, and a lot of misunderstandings, and it was really nice to be able to, I got to build up this little studio and experiment, and I did have the time to find my own voice. So this was the first main project I worked completely on my own. I think there's endless things to say about collaborating, and it's so different from every time you collaborate with someone. It's a new world to explore, getting to know each other. So I think what I experienced is that there's usually not enough time. I think if possible, music should come in earlier than it often does, because I think it's looked at almost as color grading, something you do at the very end. But if you want it to be really organic, alive, and you need time to get to know each other. Maybe you don't need that much time to get to know the person doing the color grading, but the music, it's such a important part. Well, all parts are important, of course. So I think even though you don't start to work with the music straight away, it's good to get the musician in quite early to get to know each other, and maybe start to find some kind of sound worlds. So even though it's not the music for the film, you can find the instruments maybe, or the sort of just the vibe. So even if you can't stick it to the grid, you can start experimenting with kind of sounds and instruments. I really enjoy getting clips and stuff from the film before it's finished, so I can tune into the vibe. Sometimes I get stuff when it's all done and you have like 2 weeks or something. I can do that as well, but it's not as nice, and it's nice to have the time to tune in. So that's one thing that's really important, I think, to start early and try to figure out what you like. And you know, a lot of people, when they're editing, they have temp music, and I think sometimes you can see that the editing is they used it so much, so the editing is really locked to this kind of music, and they used music maybe too much. I shouldn't say this because I'm a composer, but often there's too much music. And then if they done the editing with this music, then it's like you need to put music over the whole thing, because that's the way they edited the film. So I think if you can not use temp music too much, I think it's pretty good. Even though it can serve a purpose, but it's not over the whole thing. I think today we need to be, like I said before, music have tended to be quite clinical, because we have all these fancy plugins, software instruments that sound perfect. You don't need to do anything really to make it sound. But I think we need to be brave, and we need to let in the non-perfect things and use, like I really like using real instruments and create like organic pads or like acoustic instruments or analog instruments, and not use the ready template. So I think we need to be, or directors also need to be a little bit brave with the music and not just follow what's been done before. Because even though when I make music, I don't want the music to be a distraction from the film. It should be the other way around. But I think we can still be brave, and we can still have things that itches a little bit. It should be some kind of, I think the music should be allowed to be noticed. And today I think sometimes it's too, I can't find the words now, but it can be a little bit bland sometimes.